You are 24 when you first step into the courthouse that will shape your life. The building feels larger than anything you have known before. Marble pillars rise like monuments to order. The halls echo with quiet authority. Every person walking these corridors seems to carry years of experience, reputations built case by case, verdict by verdict. And you are just beginning. Your suit is new but inexpensive. Your briefcase is filled with notes from law school, highlighted passages from constitutional law, and handwritten reminders about why you chose this profession. You believe in the system. You believe the law exists to protect people from injustice, from corruption, from the powerful abusing those without power. More importantly, you believe that every person deserves someone willing to stand beside them when the world turns against them. That belief is why you accepted a junior defense position instead of a comfortable corporate firm job. Your responsibilities are small at first. You organize files. You prepare documents. You sit quietly beside senior attorneys during hearings, watching how they speak, how they move, how they dismantle arguments piece by piece. Every night you stay later than everyone else. You read case law until your eyes ache. You practice arguments in empty courtrooms long after the judges have gone home. Because you want to be good. Not famous, not rich, just good. One evening, your supervising attorney gives you your first real responsibility. A minor hearing involving a client accused of financial misconduct. Nothing dramatic. No reporters. Just a nervous man sitting beside you who looks like his entire future depends on whether you know what you're doing. You stand when the judge enters. Your voice trembles slightly when you begin speaking. But you remember the law. You remember the precedents. You follow every rule exactly the way you were taught. And when the hearing ends, the charge is reduced. Your client exhales like he has been underwater for hours. He shakes your hand with both of his. "Thank you," he says. The gratitude feels real. Walking out of the courthouse that evening, you feel something powerful settle inside your chest. Purpose. You believe this is what the law is meant to be. A shield for the vulnerable. A system that works when someone inside it still cares about fairness. You cannot see the road ahead yet. You cannot see the kinds of clients that will eventually sit across from your desk. Men whose wealth hides entire criminal empires. Men whose influence bends courts, governments, and investigations. Men the world quietly calls devils. One day, you will become the lawyer those men trust more than anyone else. But tonight, standing beneath the fading sunlight outside the courthouse, you still believe something simple. Power, when used correctly, protects honor, and every step forward will allow you to defend that honor more effectively. At least, that is what you believe right now. Your mentor arrives without ceremony. You are called into a quiet office late in the afternoon, long after most of the junior staff have gone home. The man waiting behind the desk has a reputation you already know. Decades in criminal defense, hundreds of victories, clients who never seem to lose. His name alone changes how prosecutors behave. He studies you for a moment before sliding a thick file across the table. "You'll assist me on this one," he says. You open the folder. Inside are photographs, witness statements, financial transfers, and police reports that make your stomach tighten. The client is not a confused businessman or someone caught in a technical mistake. He runs a violent organization. Extortion, smuggling, assault. Some of the pages describe things that are difficult to read twice. You look up slowly. Why are we defending him? Your mentor leans back calmly. Because the law says he gets a defense. Over the next weeks, you learn things law school never prepared you for. You learn how evidence can be weakened without disproving it. How witnesses can be pressured simply by exposing their past mistakes. How a case can collapse if you force the prosecution into procedural errors. During one meeting, the client laughs while describing an incident that left someone in the hospital. Your mentor doesn't react. He simply writes notes. Later, you ask him quietly, "What if he's actually guilty?" Your mentor closes the file. "That's not our job," he says. "Our job is to win." That night, you lie awake thinking about the words. Eventually, you reach a conclusion that makes the discomfort easier to ignore. If the system allows it, then using the system isn't wrong. Sometimes survival means playing the game the way it's really played. The promotion happens quietly, but the meaning behind it is unmistakable. You are no longer the junior assistant sitting behind someone else's arguments. Your name is now printed on the firm's official case assignments. Your office moves from the cramped hallway of interns to a corner room with a window overlooking the courthouse steps. It comes with a title: Associate Defense Counsel. The firm holds a small ceremony in the conference hall. Senior partners shake your hand. A framed certificate is placed in front of you while cameras flash for internal newsletters. Everyone calls it a milestone. What they really mean is that you are now trusted. Trusted to handle clients alone. Trusted to control a courtroom. Trusted to win. Your first independent case arrives within days. A wealthy investor accused of laundering money through offshore companies. The charges are complicated, but the evidence is fragile. Inside the courtroom, you feel something different from your first trial. Not nervousness, authority. When you stand to speak, the room becomes quiet. The prosecutor chooses words more carefully. The witnesses hesitate before answering your questions. And when you dismantle the timeline of the investigation, the judge nods slowly. The case collapses before it ever reaches a full trial. Your client walks free. Outside the courthouse, reporters ask questions. Your firm congratulates you publicly. Younger lawyers begin asking for your advice. For the first time, people look at you with a mixture of respect and caution. You expected pride. What surprises you is how much you enjoy the control. Because power, once you taste it, feels better than you imagined. The cases assigned to you begin to change. They arrive with fewer details in official files and more instructions delivered quietly in closed offices. You are no longer defending ordinary criminals. You are handling people whose influence stretches into politics, finance, and law enforcement itself. Your mentor explains the difference one evening while reviewing a sealed folder. Some cases are about facts, he says. Others are about timing. This one is the second kind. A government investigation is forming around one of the firm's most powerful clients, a corporate executive tied to several political donors. The evidence is incomplete, but the media is already circling. Your job is not simply to defend him. Your job is to manage the situation. You begin learning how influence actually moves through the system. You schedule meetings with reporters who are eager for exclusive stories. You give them carefully selected information that shifts attention toward a different scandal unfolding at the same time. You review the list of investigators assigned to the case and quietly discover that one of them once violated internal procedures years earlier. Your firm leaks that detail anonymously. Suddenly, the investigation becomes less credible. Inside the office, another defense team attempts to claim the client for themselves. The fees alone would be enormous. You meet privately with one of the partners who controls the final decision. You present evidence that the rival attorney mishandled a sensitive case months earlier. The partner chooses you instead. Nothing illegal happens, nothing obvious, just small adjustments of information placed in the right hands at the right moments. The investigation eventually fades. The media loses interest. Your client remains untouched. Later that night, you sit alone in your office thinking about everything that happened. A younger version of you might have called it manipulation. Now you call it strategy. Because the higher you climb in this profession, the clearer something becomes. Truth still exists, but controlling which parts of it people see is far more powerful. And if winning requires careful deception, then deception becomes another tool of the job. Morality, you realize, is not disappearing. It is simply becoming flexible. Your office no longer feels like a lawyer's workspace. It feels like a command center. Teams move around you now. Junior attorneys, investigators, financial analysts, private consultants who specialize in information you will never officially acknowledge knowing. Every morning begins with briefings, case developments, witness movements, prosecutorial strategy, media monitoring. You sit at the head of the conference table while they wait for direction. And you give it. Your newest client controls a vast network disguised as international logistics companies. The government has finally built a serious case. Financial trails, wiretaps, multiple cooperating witnesses. If the case reaches trial intact, it will destroy everything. The room studies the evidence projected across the screen. One name appears again and again. A former lieutenant in your client's organization. He has agreed to testify. Your investigators explain the problem clearly. If he speaks in court, the prosecution will connect every layer of the operation. Years of transactions will suddenly make sense. Jurors will see the full structure. Your client will fall. And when powerful men fall, they rarely fall alone. You listen carefully while the room debates options. Discredit him. Delay proceedings. Attack the credibility of the investigation. None of it guarantees success. Finally, the discussion grows quiet. Everyone knows there is another possibility. No one says it first. Your client's organization has influence far beyond legal strategy. They have resources that operate outside courtrooms. You understand exactly what that means. If the witness disappears before the trial, the case weakens dramatically. Without his testimony, the prosecution loses its central narrative. You lean back slowly in your chair. Your team waits. Then you give the instruction. You don't describe violence. You don't give details. You simply say, the witness must not appear in court. The room understands. The meeting ends. 3 days later, the prosecution announces the witness has died in what authorities call a violent robbery. The case collapses weeks afterward. Your client remains free. Late that night, you sit alone in your office. For a moment, the silence feels heavier than usual. You understand what your decision caused. A man is dead because you chose victory. The guilt arrives quietly. Then, just as quietly, it fades. Because the machine you now operate inside cannot stop for reflection. And leaders cannot hesitate once they have given an order. So you close the file and move on to the next case. Your authority no longer exists only inside courtrooms. It extends across the entire firm now. The senior partners appoint you to oversee the division that handles high-risk clients, the ones tied to political scandals, financial empires, and organizations that operate in the shadows of legitimate business. Dozens of lawyers now report to you. Cases move through your office before they reach any courtroom. Strategies are approved by you. Negotiations are shaped by you. In many ways, you govern the firm's most dangerous territory, and governance requires discipline. One of your younger attorneys makes a mistake during a sensitive case. He speaks too openly to an investigator during what was meant to be a routine procedural conversation. Nothing illegal is revealed, but the damage is clear. Information spreads. Questions begin forming. You call him into your office. The conversation is short. His case assignments are removed. His access to internal files disappears. Within a week, he quietly resigns from the firm. The rest of the department notices. Later that month, a corporate client hesitates to follow a legal strategy you designed. They want a softer approach, one that risks exposing parts of their operation during negotiations. You shut it down immediately. The contract is rewritten. Your conditions become non-negotiable. The rebellion ends before it begins. People behave differently around you now. Conversations pause when you enter rooms. Decisions move faster when your approval is required. You once believed respect was the foundation of leadership, but experience has taught you something simpler. Fear works faster. Fear keeps people disciplined. And in a world built on fragile alliances and dangerous secrets, fear is efficient. Your influence eventually grows beyond the firm. Powerful people no longer see you as just a lawyer. They see you as an ally worth binding to their world permanently. The offer arrives quietly. One of the country's most influential political families invites you to dinner at their estate outside the city. The property stretches across acres of land, guarded gates separating it from the outside world. During the meal, the proposal is presented with calm certainty. Marriage to their daughter. Not for romance, for alignment. Their political reach, combined with your legal empire, would create something far more powerful than either alone. You understand the logic immediately, and you accept. The wedding becomes a public celebration of prestige and influence. Newspapers call it a union of two rising powers. Photographs capture smiling faces, elegant suits, polished speeches about partnership and shared futures. But the real agreement exists beneath the ceremony. You now have land, connections, and protection that extend into government itself. Opposition becomes complicated. A rival attorney who once tried to expose one of your clients suddenly finds his career collapsing after an anonymous ethics investigation. A former associate who threatened to cooperate with investigators relocates overseas and never returns to the legal world. No accusations are made. No conflicts appear in headlines. People simply disappear from the path of your influence. You rarely give direct orders anymore. You don't need to. The system surrounding you understands how power survives. Because once power reaches this level, it protects itself. Your name moves through the legal world like a quiet warning. In courtrooms, prosecutors prepare more carefully when they hear you are involved. Judges study every motion twice. Journalists describe you as brilliant, ruthless, untouchable. To some, you are a genius of the law. To others, you are the reason powerful criminals never fall. Both are true. The public sees victories, collapsed investigations. Clients who walk free while the evidence against them seemed overwhelming. But the people inside the system understand something deeper. You do not simply defend your clients. You reshape the battlefield until defeat becomes impossible. At public events, politicians shake your hand with practiced smiles. Corporate leaders ask for private meetings. Younger lawyers watch you with a mixture of admiration and caution, because they know what you represent: success, and something darker beneath it. Late at night, when the offices are empty, you sometimes remember the person who first walked into the courthouse years ago, the young lawyer with a worn briefcase, the one who believed the law existed to protect the innocent. You try to imagine what that version of you would think now, about the deals, the disappearances, the lives redirected or ended to protect the people you defend. The truth settles quietly in your mind. You did not break the system. You mastered it. Every level gave you more power, and each step quietly took something from you in return. Now the transformation is complete. You no longer defend the devil. You are the lawyer the devil trusts most.